We had moved into a brand new house about 5 months ago, and I think it's long overdue that we get started on some room decors and on a budget. So I'm going to show you step by step how we did a batten and board wall. I was pleasantly surprised how inexpensive and easy it was to create. We purchased the club pack of 3.5-inch MDF baseboard prime moldings. This way it cut the cost down to under $40. The club pack has 10 8-foot baseboards in it. My cat Dimitri lives in this room 99% of the time, so he's going to be a big participant in this project. So our light fixtures are halfway down the wall to facilitate end tables beside the bed. So this is where I'm going to do the batten and board design against this wall. So it's pretty critical that you kind of have a floor map. So what I did is I actually created one step by step, and I also have this and a full instruction sheet in my description box below for you to follow and just use the measurements of the wall that you are wanting to do this project with. Most important is to measure height and width of the wall. So the first thing I did was use painter's tape to outline somewhat of the width that I was going with based on the 10 pack of boards that I had. Then I wanted to pick out how high up I wanted to go on this wall. I based most of my measurements on the frame of the headboard of the bed. We have a laser measurer, but you can do this with a ruler, so this way you can adequately be able to find out your horizontal boards and how accurate and straight for your wall. And every wall sometimes is not as straight as it looks, so it's really good to measure twice, cut once. I decided to go with a little bit more detail by just not only going straight up and down with the actual batten boards, I wanted to create also some squares on top, so this is going to require a little bit more math. But that's all this is just measuring and knowing your proximities of how far to space your batten boards. So the length of the wall is 14 feet, so I did 20 inches in between each batten board. So this way I did it in calculation for the space of 3.5 inch. So again, this is all just math based on the length of the wall. So the wall length going horizontal is going to be 14 feet, so we're going to need 2 7 feet to connect. So we decided to actually do this by connecting it and cutting the ends on a 45-degree angle with a 4-inch circular saw. Because these two boards are going to come together in the middle of the room, we thought this might help to make it look a little bit more seamless. This is a battery-operated little saw. It's lightweight, and I find it really easy to use. One thing I was really happy about is this only took an afternoon between my husband Ryan and I together, so this project actually went very, very quickly. So I'm going to show you the difference of why I'm mentioning a 45-degree. So going horizontal with those boards to start this batten and board is the horizontal is these two boards are going to meet in the middle of the room. So instead of just edging them straight on, the 45-degree angle is just going to allow them to kind of smooth into each other, and then with a little bit of caulking, it should look pretty seamless. We have a compressor, but you don't need a compressor in order to do this. We just thought it would go a little bit quicker. So we're going to be using a 2-inch wall nails. So our nail gun will go with the compressor. But if you have a straight up just nail gun, or you just want to do it manually with nail and a hammer, that's going to work just fine as well. The biggest trick is making sure the batten boards are flush. I numbered the boards in accordance to where they were going on the wall, and using the no more nails, this is really going to help for these baseboard prime moldings to be able to sit flush to the wall. So every time we had our cuts ready, we would go ahead and apply them with the no more nails as well as the nail gun. And again, you can nail it manually as well. So there's 4 boards that have been cut at 7 feet to match a 14-foot long width as far as the length of this entire wall. So we're going to place those up because these are the only boards that are going to be running horizontal. The rest of them we're going to cut for the vertical. So the entire template of what I used will be in the description box. All you have to do is put the measurements of the wall size that you're going to be doing your project and follow along, and you'll be able to do this as well. Because the MDF baseboards are a little bit, they're thin, so it's going to be really easy for them to bow. So having the no more nails, and as well as using the nails themselves, is going to help adhere them to the wall without any bowing happening now or in the future. Now we can cut straight, and this is going to be in placement for our vertical boards for this board and batten design that's going to be running vertical up. So what we did is we went ahead and did 4 at a time. This is 3.5 feet from the baseboard on the bottom to the floor, all the way to the first horizontal. So we had to make 8 cuts. As we were going, we just used a little bit of caulking just to cover up the seams. So this way, when I go to paint everything, we're not going to be able to see anything. So what I wanted to do is make 12-inch by 12-inch squares on top of the first part of the batten and board look. So they're going to be squares on the top part of this. So we're going to need 12-inch little squares. So we're going to need to cut another 8 at 12 inches and go ahead and attach them right above. Ryan and I had a lot of fun actually putting this together, and we were just pleasantly surprised how fast it went, and we were really surprised with the end results. When it came to nailing any of the batten boards, all I did was nail 2 at the top, 2 in the middle, and 2 at the bottom for every board that I placed on the wall. Once we completed all the cuts and placed all the boards with the nail guns, I went around again with a little bit of the caulking just to tie in those seams. That should be dry probably within the next couple of hours, but I'm going to wait until the next day before I start painting. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and sand everything and make sure it's nice and smooth. Go ahead and clean everything so there's no dust before I get started on the painting. From start to finish, it took both of us under 4 hours to create the batten board. As for the painting, there's a few different ways. You could paint just the boards. You could paint the entire wall. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint from the baseboard up, just the board and batten itself, including the wall. And I already have tons of wall paint, so I'm just going to stick with what I have. And if I want to change it later on down the road, no problem at all. Surprisingly enough, I've never actually painted a wall white. I've painted a ceiling white, but never a wall. So I knew going in, if I was going to use white, that it's probably going to need a minimum of 2, if not 3 coats. White generally as a paint, in any kind of paint or paint product, will always be a little bit thinner because it's the least pigmented paint. I love hand painting, but you could also use a roller if that's easier for you. I like to use a synthetic angle edge brush, and I find just it's therapeutic for me. I like to hand paint my walls. I just go ahead and put on the music and I'm in a happy place. Plus I find there's a lot less cleanup, in addition to the little extra exercise. So particularly with white paint, it's always going to look a little bit streaky when you first put your first coat on. But when I did get the first coat on, I just kind of stand back and thought, okay, do I want to stick with just all white, or am I going to use this as a primer for a darker tone? But surprisingly, I was really happy with going with the white. So I went ahead and kept with it and went on to my second coat, and as it got more and more put together, I fell in love with it. So the white paint that I used was the Benjamin Moore Paint and Primer in the Regal Ultra Matte. So it's a very flat finish, and it's in the cloud white. The rest of the room is the Gray Owl by Benjamin Moore. Dimitri was much happier with us out and finished with this project so he could have his bed back. I have collected picture frames since I could remember, and I actually have dozens. So I pulled out a bunch from a box as I'm still trying to unpack, and I thought, you know what, it's time to recycle what I have. None of these really match, as I've bought them for different places, for different rooms, and now that we're in this space, I thought I would challenge myself to put up a wall gallery. So I also saw an IKEA video where they show you how to create a wall gallery with some easy tips and tricks to keep everything cohesive. So I have this heavy-duty paper roll that I do a lot of projects off of, and this is just to keep my space clean, but I also get the rolls from the Home Depot as well. So first thing I'm going to do is take everything apart and clean them really well. And if you have metal frames, it's even helpful to go ahead and give those metal frames a little scuff with some sandpaper. I have tons of leftover paint, and I'm going to use that ultra matte finish. I also have tons of sample sizes, which is great, so I have several to choose from and many neutral colors. I love the stick and style stencil rolls. I get these from the Redesign with Prima. I'll also have these in my description box below. Inside the picture frames, a lot of the ones that I have actually have an inside mat. So this is where I thought stenciling the mat and making contrast with it might be a really fun way to DIY, upcycle, and create a whole new design for some of these picture frames. So again, this is a really inexpensive way to upcycle things you already have. So a lot of these mats inside the frames are just a standard white. So again, I thought I would switch everything up and make everything really cohesive. So I'm going to go ahead and clean everything and all the glass, and then I also made a big order so I could have some of my photos off my phone printed off of just friends and family. I thought too, with these mats, what I'll do is actually paint them darker instead of white. So I'm going to paint the outside picture frames first, and again, pretty easy, just using artist brush or any brushes that you have on hand. Go ahead and give them 2 full coats. And again, this is a paint and primer paint with an ultra matte finish, so it's going to have that very chalk-like style. The mats themselves, I'm going to go with a little bit of a darker hue, and then I'm going to apply the stencils on the mats, not the frames. If your frames don't have the inside mat, you can always cut some out of really good construction paper from the dollar store. I absolutely love these peel and stick stencils because once you've got it on, it's completely adhered to the surface you're painting. So sometimes in the past with other stencils, sometimes the paint will get underneath the stencil, so this is a very seamless way to getting a stencil. And paint press, absolutely perfect. And of course the color palettes of anything you could use are endless, and just pick the colors that would best suit for you and your style and exactly what you love to use. So I was able to find so far, and I know I've got dozens more. I found 22 picture frames, and I know I've got more boxes. So this is actually just going to be the start of my gallery wall, which is actually a really good way to go, because this way you can kind of space it out and interchange anything. But I do want to actually make both sides of each wall a complete gallery of friends, family, and of course our pets. But I'm really loving the look of the stenciled mat. This is a wonderful idea to personalize your own picture frames. So I have a lot of frames that will facilitate an 8x10. So I have 2 I'm going to start with and see how I like it on the wall gallery. But I know I've got at least a dozen more, so I'm either going to add it into the same wall or I'm going to go to the opposing wall on the other side. But again, you can use these stick and styles. I just absolutely love how it's changing up the look and personalizing the inside mat of the frames. And because these stick and styles actually repel the paint, it only goes inside the actual cut. So again, it's got a beautiful seamless look. If by chance you're going to be doing a few of these at the same time like myself, you can reuse the stick and style. So you can use them up to at least half a dozen times before you have to get a fresh one. So you definitely get your money's worth. But these are great for hardcover books or even photo albums or other DIY projects. Once everything was completed, I'm going to use that construction paper that I have, and I'm going to lay out all of my frames side by side. And this is going to help me formulate exactly how I'm going to be placing them on the wall. And I'm going to show you how I did it step by step. You need to give yourself a little bit of width in between all your frames. Then you're just going to take a pencil and draw out each frame. Once I've done drawing everything out, I'll take all the frames and put them to the side and get ready to cut. But a couple of things I did as a trick in between. I numbered the size. So if I was going to do a 4x6, it was a number 1. If I was going to do a 5x7, it was a number 2. If I was going to do so on and so on, I would actually mark it, and I would mark the size. This way I knew if the picture frame was going to go vertical or horizontal. Added a little bit of painter's tape out of each cut, put on all 4 corners. Then I would stick it to the wall, and this would help me formulate the layout I want on the wall. And I wanted to be careful, as I know I'm going to be adding quite a bit more picture frames to this wall, but I also wanted to have them spaced out a little bit apart so that way each frame and picture had individuality. But you can put them a little bit closer together. However you want to set up your wall gallery is totally up to your style. But doing it this way allowed me to space everything equally and allow me to place for the nails and have the pictures up nice and smoothly seamless, and everything was cohesive. But most of these frames over the years have had dings, scratches, and it's just been, over time they've worn down. So sometimes it's really good just to upcycle and give a facelift to the things that you already have. And now I can add all my favorite pictures of my pets, my friends, and my family, and I get to look at them every day. Thank you so much for watching this week's video, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you soon. Until then, take care.